So welcome to 15 Minute Marketing, proudly sponsored now by the Holiday Inn Express in Bodmin at Victoria Junction, where they are built for business. So they've got private meeting rooms, excellent Wi-Fi and coffee on tap, and there is no better place to meet for business right now in the centre of Cornwall. Amy Smith, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. It's the first time we've met, which I'm really shocked at, because we've been working together for years.
I know, and you forget sometimes. I think I know you, and I think we've met, but it's just all been online.
I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
And obviously you're from Cornwall Airport Newquay.
Yes, I am.
And you've been a client of mine at Big Boxes for many, many years, which I really appreciate, by the way. And obviously one of the sites that you've obviously advertised on a lot with us is over at Richmond Hill in Truro.
That's correct, yes.
Not too much during COVID, or understandably, because I know you know the government restrictions and things like that.
It's been a tricky time to plan ahead and to get those kind of things booked in, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But let's go in and talk for 15 minutes about your job and what you do, because it's been a challenging time for your industry, and I'm really interested to take your take on it, because coming out of it now, there's a lot of positives as well, as I know we've been talking about in the green room a minute ago. So Shane, if you could get going on the 15 minutes, that would be brilliant. Yes, so you've got a campaign starting with us next year.
Yes.
And really exciting that you have announced recently the new Gatwick route. Yes.
I mean, it was a massive part of our network before COVID, before the demise of Flybe, unfortunately last March. Gatwick, Heathrow, our primary London route, was really the cornerstone of our whole network.
Sure.
The multi-day service right the way through the year, and trying to fill that again after Flybe disappeared.
Yeah.
In the uncertain world that has been COVID for really almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Has been a challenge, and I think we've been able to fill it in a short-term basis. So we've had BA on Heathrow, we've had EasyJet doing Gatwick. But this move now introducing Eastern Airways on the London Gatwick from the 15th of December is a massive step forward, because that is now contracted to operate for the next 4 years.
Oh, amazing.
So we've got that secured for 4 years. It's a multi-day service throughout the year. So it gives that confidence back to the market that the Gatwick connection's back, that you can get your connection for your point-to-point or your onward connectivity. So it's a massive step forward in our recovery.
And I've been speaking to so many people in business and also friends, and I've got friends in London. Cornish people moved up to London to make their money, and a lot of them are now moving back, but they're really excited at the fact that Gatwick's come back, because they can travel back to London to do their jobs and their meetings if they want to, or they can now work from home, which is perfect. So Cornwall Airport Newquay is going to come really important to their daily lives.
And I think that's one of the interesting things. I think we're seeing a shift, particularly in the business travel market. And I think there was when everyone first went home, we thought, hang on a minute, why do we ever need to travel again? Let's just sit at home and talk on Zoom. And actually, I think the longer that's gone on, the more people realise they do want to get out. They want to travel again. They want to go and sit.
Zoom fatigue, as they call it.
Well, absolutely. And I think that people see also the value in face-to-face at the right times.
Definitely.
And I think things have changed. Like you say, people that have moved back home or moved to Cornwall that actually have an office space in London, they may not need to be there every day anymore.
Sure.
But they're going to want to be there maybe once a week or a couple of times a month or whatever that is. And I think, so we're going to see a shift perhaps.
Definitely.
Maybe a little bit away from the people that are going up every day or they're going up every week. But we're going to see a shift, and I think we're going to see that demand change, but definitely come back.
But it's really exciting. I mean, I've been speaking to so many people about your announcement about the Gatwick route, and they're just really excited about it. They're really pleased to see it back, because I think, if you talk and about the pandemic and industries and sectors that were really badly hit, obviously, first one that comes to everyone's mind is hospitality and that sort of stuff. But actually, your industry was hit really badly, wasn't it?
I think the thing about aviation and the way it's been hit by this pandemic is it wasn't hit probably a lot worse than anybody else's initially, but it's still suffering.
Yes.
And I think, it's going to be suffering for a number of years. And, hospitality was hit terribly.
Yeah.
But then, particularly places like Cornwall, it had a fantastic summer.
Yes.
So, it's been able to bounce back and regather some of that success. Whereas I think aviation is still suffering. And I think, we were in a position where actually confidence was coming back. People were starting to plan with confidence their holidays or their trips or their travel. And then just the last, 10 days since Omicron and new testing requirements and work from home guidance again, and all of a sudden that consumer confidence starts to disappear again. So just when you feel that actually there's maybe some light at the end of the tunnel,
one step forward, another step back, maybe.
And I think that's what's still harming the aviation industry and making it difficult to really say yes, we are there, we are recovered, we are recovering, no doubt about it. It's coming back, but it's slow and it's going to take a number of years, I think.
And that's the thing. I mean, obviously, this is 15-minute marketing, so my next question is going to be marketing related. But how do you go about marketing and planning your marketing when you've got that challenge? I mean, we talked about it earlier a minute ago in the green room, but obviously, for you, it must be a nightmare. You obviously constantly change your strategy, aren't you?
Yeah, it's become very tactical rather than strategic. It's very much about keeping people informed and reassured and informed about what's there. But being tactical and changing and moving with the mood and moving with the demand and moving with the consumer confidence. So the challenge there is your planning, being able to have a clear content plan about what you're going to do for the next 6 months or a year. That doesn't exist anymore because, we need to do what we need to do right now. We need to look at what the product is and what's going to be running over the next few weeks or months. But I think also just with the product plan, with a network, what flights are operating, what's actually there to promote. It's very hard, or has been over the last couple of years, to do that with any confidence because actually decisions were being made about what would fly 2 or 3 weeks out, depending on what the demand was, depending on what the guidance was.
So it's kind of very reactive then at that point.
Really reactive, and it's just about... It's about having a rough plan in mind, but being willing to adapt it to use the relationships with providers and suppliers. But luckily, we've got strong relationships with the likes of you and others in the county, and I think that's really helped us being able to call in quick favours when we need to be able to get stuff out there when we need to. But all in that position of just not being able to plan very much in advance.
It's really hard, isn't it? I mean, I've seen two levels of the extreme, if I'm honest. I've seen different industries. Yours certainly falls into this that have had to be very reactive, who have contacted me very late about space that's very close by. And so have you got a billboard next month or 2 months away? A lot of the time it's been no, sometimes it's been yes, which has been great. But I've had... The other side of the coin, I've had a lot of industries come to me now and say, Mike, I want to book in space for 2023. And that is unheard of at this point. I mean, for us to be 88% sold out on all of our sites for 2022 already is
incredible.
Completely unheard of, And I don't think that's a reflection on me and how well we're doing. I actually think that is two extremes,
Well, I think the whole pandemic has turned the world on its head, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And it's had massive challenges for everybody, but it's also brought with it opportunities, and it's made people think a bit differently. And and I think people that can adapt for that, and industries where you've got a bit more ability to look ahead, or you've maybe reprioritised or had that chance to sort of sit back and look at something a bit anew.
Yes.
Which maybe we, in the old world, pre-COVID, we were all comfortable. We were all ticking along. We were doing what we knew. And, one of the great things that will come from this is that we've looked at things. We've challenged ourselves and what we do. We've challenged our businesses.
Definitely.
We've said, how can we do this better and differently and more efficiently?
I completely agree. And actually, I mean, I've done a number of interviews with people. I mean, you're the first person in aviation I've obviously interviewed. And I've spoken to many different people, obviously Malcolm Bell being probably quite similar to what you guys are like, but other people within marketing. The main message to come out of pretty much all of the interviews I've done is resilience. It's taught us as business owners, but also as people. We're all humans, not just marketers. That resilience is really important, and just sticking with it and trying and doing trying something different, as you say. I mean, I don't like using the word pivot. Everyone's been using it. I just kind of...
It's adapting though, isn't it? It's adapting and actually having the courage to try something new. And like I say, this has challenged us all
Yeah,
the last couple of years. But actually, there's some really great opportunities it's not all bad. There are new opportunities out there because of what we've been through. And if you're brave and you take those opportunities, then there's a great future ahead.
Definitely. And I suppose as well, I mean, undoubtedly, from the outside looking in, to your industry, there is going to be a really pent up desire from people to want to travel after this, because they just haven't been able to, or they're now starting to again, but are slightly nervy about it. And a lot of people maybe have thought, I'm going to leave it just until this Omicron or just until this winter's over and done with. But surely that's exciting for you to be able to, once this is all done, go, right, this is where we are. You can travel from Newquay Airport up to London and to anywhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, there's definitely a pent-up. Whilst demand has come back and Cornwall has, Cornwall and we as an airport, Cornwall Airport Newquay, have recovered better than many in our industry because of our domestic travel, because of popularity of Cornwall through all of this for the staycation market. But that demand for our local resident that wants to kind of get out there and travel the world again, get back out to Florida or whatever it is, and use those connections. That there is absolutely, I think, once we cross that point of really getting consumer confidence back, because there's clarity around the testing and there's clarity around what's needed. This isn't going away. It's not going away anytime soon.
No.
But we start to live with it. We start to understand what's needed. It becomes more affordable, more accessible. More understood, and that confidence comes back, and absolutely then that confidence comes back and we see a real surge.
I mean, it's
in
interesting,
how we go
isn't
forward.
it? Because we think, okay, we were out of the worst of this, and I think we are, and obviously I don't want to make this whole interview about COVID because it just seems to have been the way that it's hit. But I mean, put this in perspective with people. The US corridor only opened last month.
Yes.
And we're coming into winter.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Next year it's a really exciting time, I think, to think about your holiday and where you're going. And I would certainly advise anyone to talk to you guys, because you're great.
And I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing the more there's a segment that are confident to travel and understand what's needed, and we see that, but even then we see that as late in bookings now. So the short term stuff is late in, so people are booking few weeks ahead when they've got certainty around what's going on.
Of course.
But I think people are starting to plan ahead. People are thinking with confidence that next summer, next winter, they can do those big trips again. They can get them planned in. They can have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Which we all need. None of us have travelled. None of us have holidays in the same way that we have been used to doing. And I think we all need that. We all need that great trip to look forward to. And
it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I know I've lived in Cornwall my whole life. As a youngster, I used to travel a hell of a lot with my family, and it was always the long drive up to Bristol, Birmingham, Gatwick, Heathrow, wherever, and I used to dread it. And I used to think, oh God, this is not great at all. But people, we've got this amazing airport on our doorstep, and people, are using it. But, as time goes on, I expect more people will. And
I think people want that now. They want the convenience. They want the ease of doing that. I'm travelling in January. I have, fingers crossed, I'm travelling to Finland for a ski trip in January. We're flying from Gatwick, but we'll fly up to Gatwick because I'm travelling with young children. And the difference that makes of being able to jump on an aircraft and transfer in Gatwick rather than a 5-hour journey. Yeah. Particularly on return when you're tired and you just want to get home, it makes a big difference. And I think that's where, certainly something like that multi-day service into London, that really starts to open up those opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, no, 100%, I agree. So just to kind of move this conversation on, obviously we've got a lot of business owners and that watch this. As a really experienced marketeer as you are, as I know you are, and the amazing campaigns you sent us over the years, what tips have you got for business owners in Cornwall to kind of, what have you learned that you can pass on to them?
My biggest tip in Cornwall would be build the relationships with people, work in partnership with people. There's a great collaboration thing going on in Cornwall, and that's what I've always loved, and I think it's worth spending the time getting to know people, build the relationships, because then whatever market you're in, however much you can strategically plan or otherwise, if you know the right people and you've got people on your side and you've got those relationships, you can make stuff happen. Whether you can plan it a year in ahead or you can plan it 2 weeks in ahead. Having those kind of relationships, having people that can help you, advise you, work with you, make stuff happen. That will be the biggest help you can ever have.
And Cornwall's quite unique like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
In other areas of the country, it's all agency led.
Yeah.
And you know, I weirdly, as a media owner, I should be working with mostly agencies because everyone else in the country does, but I don't. No. I actually work mostly
down
with clients
here.
directly.
You have those personal connections, and I think there's something really lovely about that.
There is, yeah.
But equally something very valuable. You know, it helps us to be able to achieve what we need to do. Whenever we run campaigns that are about traffic going out of Cornwall and wanting to reach the Cornish audience, I can do that. I can turn that on really quickly because I know exactly where to go. I know who to approach, and it just makes it very easy.
And exactly, and it's great because, I mean, a few times you've sent me an email saying, right, any chance you've got space this month?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's great, you know,
doesn't
sometimes
always
I
come
say
off,
yes,
but, you know,
sometimes
exactly,
I say no,
you know.
But you're not
You
the only
can't.
one that does that, you know, and it's great that you've mentioned that idea of collaboration and things like that, because actually the business community, it was talked about a lot actually yesterday at the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce breakfast. That,
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we did win an award. I wasn't going to mention it. Shane also won an award as well, so it's worth a mention. There was a talk about massive, you know, how we can all collaborate more and work together, and in any sector. And actually, that's the strength of the Cornish business community.
And that's how Cornwall will take the opportunities that are out there, because I believe there's massive opportunities for Cornwall. And I think if we do that, we work together.
Definitely.
That's how we'll win.
And off the back of G7 as well. That's a legacy we all want to keep going.
100%.
And that was pretty impressive. I know Shane spent some time down there as well in the media centre, and he was kind of pretty excited about it.
It was an exciting few days.
I bet
to be
it
stood
was.
on the ground at Newquay when, you know, Air Force One landed and came out of the fog. It was, pretty impressive.
That is pretty cool, I've got to say. I think we could probably talk about that all night, or all day, should I say. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I really, really enjoyed interviewing, and great to meet you as well.
Likewise.
Yeah. Oh, shall I hit the record again?